Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first in our weekly series of FSHD Society Sequester Camp webinars. We recognize that many of you already feel very isolated, and now it's even harder to get out or for others to come visit. We care about you and what's happening amidst this coronavirus crisis and the subsequent sequestering of people. So we've created this webinar series especially for our FSHD community. It's going to run every Thursday at the same time for as long as we need it to. We'll be sharing information, resources, and especially this social support. And best of all, anyone can join from anywhere. Today on our very first webinar, we're going to start with CEO Mark Stone, who's going to address our FSHD community. And then next, June Kinoshita will provide some health updates. She's been in touch with the top FSHD clinicians and medical advisors, and can really share some specific information about FSHD and the coronavirus. Then after that, we'll open it up to you all for questions at the end. Feel free during the webinar to submit your questions at any time. Just use the little Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. We will try to answer the questions as they come live, but may need to wait to answer to some of them at the end. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to President and CEO, Mr. Mark Stone.
Thanks, Beth, and I appreciate the staff for their care and concern. They have put this together, brought this together, and I'm so glad. I've been anxious to talk to you, our families. You've been on my heart, on my mind, and my prayers through this time. I wake up thinking about you, go to sleep thinking about you during this time frame. And allow me for just a moment to tell you what I think about you. Normally, that's not a good way to start a conversation, but the FSHD Society is you. It's a group of people that have come together for a common purpose, and that purpose is to find treatments and cures faster for FSHD. But you are more than that. As I began to think through this turbulent time, this uncertain time, I thought, we need to provide both prudent and stable leadership through this time. And you have been our inspiration. All the staff, you are several things. You are inspirational. As I've lived among you for going on 3 years now, there is an optimism that permeates our community, sometimes in spite of circumstances. And that we carry into these uncertain times. There is a resiliency to our community. Each time I see and hear stories of, okay, I've got this challenge, but here's how I've met the challenge. Here's how I rose above the challenge, and here's how I'm continuing on. Inspirational, resiliency. There's an innovativeness about our community and about you that is just, again, it's inspiring. Seeing how we as a community and you as an individual overcome obstacles through out-of-the-box thinking. And then there is a commitment, there is a committedness to our community, a passionate commitment to see sometimes what feels like the impossible done anyway. Your faithfulness, your generosity, the willingness to reach beyond yourself and sometimes beyond what you think you can do yourself has inspired us and is inspiring to us and has allowed us to move forward. So when I think of our families, and when I think of our families during any time of crisis, but certainly this coronavirus crisis and the quarantining, if you will, or the sequestering, as we like to say, is a little better. I think of those qualities, and those qualities permeate who we are as a society, who we are as a group, who we are as a community of people, of stakeholders that are moving forward. Let me tell you just a brief moment, let me take a brief moment to tell you the steps we are taking in the face of this. We had several important meetings scheduled for the first half of this year. We have 4 workshops, industry workshops that will spin off important projects that will fill the gaps and allow us to expedite therapies to our families. Those have not stopped. We have postponed the workshops to the summer sometime, but we are even engaging some of the members of the workshops to begin and to continue the work that needs to be done so that we don't slow down at all. The Voice of the Patient Forum, which was getting a great response from our community because of the FDA being sequestered, and because of, out of the abundance of caution for our community, we've had to postpone that. But interestingly enough, we are we haven't gotten this confirmed yet, but we are putting this and connecting it with our Patient Connect conference at the end of June on that Monday right after the conference is over, which could then actually allow a nice synergy to happen because our families are already going to be there and they might stay over so that your voice, the voice of our families, can be heard by the FDA. So we are learning from you. We are inspired by you with this resilience and this innovation and this commitment. Also, we are planning to continue to conduct and hold the International Research Congress and the Patient Connect Conference at the end of June. We won't be making a decision if we need to postpone or cancel that. We will not be making a decision on that until around the first part of June. We believe and are hopeful that we will be on the backside of this, that travel will be okay, that our families won't be put at additional risk, and that we can continue our bold stride forward. But again, we'll be analyzing that really on a day-by-day basis. We're looking at it, but we won't be making any decisions until around the end of May or 1st of June for that. So still plan on attending that. Still plan on be there. There's a lot of things happening there. And I want to just challenge you just a little bit in conclusion to my statements of here's some of the things that I want you to consider being involved in or doing. And I think the first one is you've signed up for this. You've joined this moment, and we're going to have this moment every week for the foreseeable future. Our staff has planned interesting times. Sometimes they're going to be dialogue times. They're not going to be, monologues, or they're not going to be a presentation. Sometimes it's going to be something that relieves anxiety. I'm inspired again by one of our board members who let me know that she was watching cartoons. She was watching cartoons. I said, well, watch a Bugs Bunny episode for me. It's some of that kind of levity amidst the seriousness that, again, I've learned from our families. I've learned from you. And that's what we're trying to replicate here. Also on Wednesday evenings, log on to Facebook Live. These are some of the ways that you can participate. We're also going to be, we're going ahead with some of our chapter meetings, which are typically in person, and they're usually advertised in a certain region. We're going to be advertising our whole chapter program so that anybody can attend virtually. So I want to encourage you to be a part of that. So be a part, log in, take part, take an active participative part. The second thing is I want to encourage you to, if you haven't already, go online to the Voice of the Patient Forum page on our website and begin to take part in some of those questionnaires. Let your voice be heard, and let your voice and vote be counted with the FDA as they prepare to look at promising therapies that are coming out for FSHD. We've already had an overwhelming response, and we're just so grateful for that. But now that we have a little more time, we want to encourage everybody to be a part of that. These are some of the things you can do in spite of the sequester, if you will. And then we value your continued support. We typically have a spring fundraising campaign. We want to be sensitive to people who, through either investments going down or income being compromised, that you just can't participate right now. We understand that, but we also know that there are some others, and this has been our history. Again, that committed, passionate life that you all live. There have been others that have stepped in and filled the gap when there's a gap that needed to be filled. And we so appreciate that. So be a part of that, be engaged in that. Really, now more than ever, we need to stay calm. We need to be our best resourceful self, and we need to do what we do best. And I think that through innovation and resilience and commitment, I think that we support one another really well. I think that we always seek to press on toward our collective goal with that one thought and one purpose of how can we get treatments and cures, disease-modifying treatments and cures to our families faster. And I think we engage. We engage so well. I think that you can be a part of the solution. And you might go, I'm good. I probably don't need this virtual community. Let me challenge your thinking a bit, because somebody might need your voice. They might need your input. They might need your wisdom or your experience. And from what I've been able to tell attending chapter meetings, that is what we're really good at, is helping each other to live just a little bit above that. So thank you for attending. Obviously, I'll stay on, but I do want to hand it over right now to June. She's been in touch with some of our leading clinicians on the coronavirus and FSHD in particular. And so she's got some things to share, and then we'll take questions.
So much. So welcome everybody. It's really so wonderful to see you here in this time when we're all, holed up in our cubbies, in our homes. So I just wanted to mention that the information I'll be sharing is going to be posted later on the Sequester Camp page. That page is going to be on the front page of our website throughout this whole period, foreseeable future. So you can always find it there. And we'll be taking questions later in this webinar. So anything, any clarification I can offer, that you can ask then. So I just wanted to quickly run through some of the health tips that are important to keep foremost in your mind. First of all is that for the FSHD population in general, your risk of getting COVID-19 and the risk of serious complications is the same as for the rest of the population, which is to say it's not a low risk, it's a serious condition. That's why we're all sequestering, but it's no greater. So use common sense, follow the guidelines out there from the CDC, wash your hands, wash, and do the social distancing thing. But don't, as I said, use common sense. Don't feel like you can't ever go near anybody again. I mean, if you need to get groceries, go get your groceries. If you need to go to the pharmacy, go do it. Just wash your hands afterwards. I think our biggest concern is around those of you who have respiratory issues. And I think the first thing there is you should be using a cough assist. If you have like a Trilogy or that type of ventilatory assist device, use the cough assist, use it proactively, stay ahead. You don't want to develop bronchitis, you want to prevent it. Because any of those such situations can become even more magnified and complicated if you were to contract COVID-19. Carry our medic alert card. We have one specific for FSHD. It's downloadable from our website. And make sure that you and your family or anyone who might be involved in transporting you to the emergency room, should you fall ill, make sure they understand that if you develop a serious breathing problem and need oxygen, that the oxygen must be given with ventilation, like a ventilator or Bipap, to make sure that you are expelling carbon dioxide. The retention of carbon dioxide is something of particular risk for people with FSHD. And so you have to make sure the emergency room folks understand that. You know, your blood carbon dioxide must be monitored along with the oxygen. If they give you oxygen and you can't vent out the carbon dioxide, it can actually cause you to stop breathing. Don't want that. So make sure everybody who might be involved in transporting to the ER understands this, and write it down and give those instructions to any emergency technician. Get your flu shot, not because it does anything against COVID-19, but we have to remember the flu is also still out there. It's also a serious illness if you get it, and if you were to get both, that's doubly bad. So make sure if you haven't had your flu shot, go get it. And one other thing, it's a new report just out from the American Journal of Gastroenterology. So we've been hearing about the symptoms of COVID-19, which are, you know, difficulty breathing, high fever, that kind of thing. But one thing that has not been mentioned is GI symptoms, particularly like diarrhea. And now in this new report, I think it was just released yesterday, the cases in China, about half of them presented with these GI symptoms. So if you have a GI symptom along with these other symptoms, you cannot rule out COVID-19. So that's I just want to make sure everybody knew about that. There are also some myths going on out there, or insubstantiated concepts out there. One that I've seen is that ibuprofen might, if you take ibuprofen for pain management or inflammation, that it could make you more vulnerable to COVID-19. There was one report in France that stated that, but what I'm hearing from others is that those data are not solid. And if you need ibuprofen to manage your pain, go ahead and take it. There's no solid basis for the idea that it can make you more vulnerable to COVID-19. Another is, you know, we've seen the run on the stores for Purell. Purell is not the most effective way to protect yourself from virus. Hand washing is much more effective. So if you can wash hands, wash hands. Purell is not, you know, a substitute, or, I mean, it's a substitute if hand washing is not practical or possible. So if you're out and about and having to be exposed, yeah, carry some with you. If you have difficulty getting your hands into wash basin, washing them, use Purell by all means. But if you can hand wash, that's better. Masks also, there've been a run in the stores on masks. These are really not going to protect you if you're healthy and symptom-free and you're not around other people who are infected. These are really if you have COVID-19 yourself, to keep other people from contracting it, or if you're working around people who have COVID-19. So if you're a health worker, or if you're visiting a loved one who has COVID-19, yes, but for the general, for just going out shopping, it's not advised. And ditto with wearing gloves. Hand washing is equally good, and wearing gloves can maybe give you a false sense of, a false illusion of safety, because you've got to remember the gloves can pick up the virus and then still transmit it. And maybe if you don't wear them, you might just be more aware of where your hands have been, what you've been touching, and so on. So, so those are some myths out there that are important to kind of debunk a bit. I also wanted to mention that Treat NMD, which is this global alliance of neuromuscular disease research centers, They have just issued a survey to understand the impact of COVID-19 on neuromuscular disease patients, including FSHD. Obviously, the virus is new. We don't know anything about whether patients are at greater risk or not. And so this is an important survey to try to collect this data. So if you have been unfortunate enough to contract COVID-19 or know an FSHD individual who has, please take the survey. We're going to post it again on our Sequester Camp page. There's also some tips I wanted to offer for you if you are using a medical device or wheelchair. Don't forget that that comes in a lot of contact with other people if you have a caregiver or anything like that. So they are touched frequently and could become a source for exposure to the virus. So disinfect those areas frequently, the handles, the controls, the joystick, etc., the rests, the back of the chair. Just disinfect. You can use a wipe. It should contain at least 70% alcohol. Do not, baby wipes are not going to do it if they don't have the alcohol. Or you can also use a disinfectant solution like a diluted a spray bottle with a little bit of bleach. 4 teaspoons of bleach to a quart of water is what the CDC recommends. And then I really wanted to say something about the whole thing about being sequestered, that we know that loneliness itself is not good for your health. So you need to stay connected, and it can be done virtually. That can still offer a lot of emotional, social support. Our radio show, which will be on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. every week going forward, and it'll be streamed live through Facebook Live. That will be interactive. Our host, Tim Hollenbeck, would love it if you would call in, if you want to just chat, have somebody on the phone to talk to. Tim is going to be there to talk to you. You can also chat with other people through the comment section in Facebook. Facebook is, for all the problems that we've been hearing about, it's still an incredibly powerful way for people to connect at a time like this. So this might be a time where you may have said, I'm not going to go on Facebook, but maybe this is a time where it can be really helpful. And if you are new to Facebook, we can help you kind of jumpstart your social network. Just post a message on the FSHD Society page saying you're new and you would like to connect with others in the FSHD community, and we will spread the word. Other people will see it and come and friend you, and that'll help you jumpstart your social network. And it can be incredibly valuable in a time of crisis like this. If you need help and you post, hey, my caregiver just fell ill and I don't have someone to come in, or I need somebody to run to the pharmacy for me. If you have a good social network, it's amazing to see people step up and just offer to help, and it can be a lifesaver. So, so I would encourage that. Also, talk to your friends and family. Pick up the phone every day. I've been calling my daughters in the morning at dinner. We're spending more time together that way than we normally do, just because we're concerned. So so that's always there for us. And as Mark was saying, you have so much wisdom. You have learned how to deal with this condition and the isolation that it can bring. So you are an expert. You may have solutions and wisdom to offer other people, not just in the FSHD community, but in your community in general, people who are for the first time experiencing this kind of isolation and don't know how to cope and what resources are there. So you are in a position to do to really help and be a leader in your community. And we know that volunteering to help your neighbors, support your local businesses, support artists, all of that is really good for your soul, to feel that you're making a difference and being useful to your community. And again, you'll see a lot of requests on Facebook for your local business offering to do takeout or whatever it is. So, so just be connected. Physical exercise, really important for your health, and it can be challenging if you can't get out to the gym or whatever. You can figure out how to do it at home. Make sure you do it safely. If you need somebody to spot you, make sure there's somebody there for you. But for example, I have a fitness trainer and our gym is closed. So we decided to start doing sessions by Skype, and it's been great. Do it twice a week. So that's an option. You can get outside. That's really healthy. And COVID-19 is not floating out there out in the nice, clean spring air. So go out and stretch your legs, breathe in that air, get some sunshine. Mindfulness is something also that can be very helpful for people in this situation. And I just wanted to advertise that in a couple of weeks, we hope to do one of these webinars as a virtual mindfulness session. So you can learn about how that works and how that can help you cope with the situation we're all in. And I also want to emphasize that life is obviously really different, but it hasn't ended. And there are still ways to really get a lot out of life and enjoy it. And we're going to be exploring that in our future webinars, you know, how to enjoy still being part of a community, how to consume art online, how to go to enjoy music online, et cetera. So, and we really, we would love to hear from you about just everything we've just talked about. If you have ideas, resources, websites we should know about, please share them because you know a lot more than we do. So with that, I'm gonna zip it and open, you know, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, let me very quickly say one other thing in service to our families. And again, as we've learned from you, our families, the staff is all sequestered. We are operating remotely, operating virtually from our homes out of an abundance of caution. But interestingly, we had already been able to do this. And so as Lisa Schimmel, our Chief Finance Officer, said after doing this for a few days, she said, we haven't slowed down as a staff. We haven't missed a beat. If you call the office, you get one of us. We have obviously it's a simple technology. It's been around for a long time, but we've transferred the phones to our cell phone. You might hear a child in the background, and that's okay. I know that it's okay with you, but we're here to answer your calls. We're logged on and working every day. We're working toward a goal. And I did want to make mention of that and underline that and really just applaud our staff. I am humbled and grateful to be able to work with and be associated with the intellect and the creativity and the compassionate hearts that exist in each and every one of our staffs. We don't pay them for the service they provide to us, for us, and I can't say enough good about them. So a little time to applaud, but also if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have anything at all, just, you know, all of our phone numbers work, and there's somebody going to be at the other end answering the phones for you, or an email or whatever. So we're here for you. Anyway, thank you.
Mark, we do have a question from the group. They're asking if there is, Rachel would like to know if there's any impact on the treatment trials.
Oh, wow. Why did I even forget that? No, there's not. 2 weeks ago, we had a 2-hour in-person, we all bowed, we didn't touch each other, conference or meeting with Fulcrum. And even more recently than that, we have heard from them that they are moving forward. They're using, again, as the phrase goes, an abundance of caution, and they're being prudent, but they're not slowing down and they're not stopping. As a matter of fact, the recruitment response was so well that they finished recruiting, at least here in the States, way earlier than they anticipated, which is great because they can stay on their timelines. So no, nothing has slowed down there. And that's, I think last week we heard from Fulcrum saying that they're not slowing down or stalling the clinical trial.
Great. Just wanted to mention one thing. Amy Beckier said, June, when you're talking about BiPAP machines in the hospital, she mentioned that if you use BiPAP, to make sure that you bring it to the hospital with you. So thank you, Amy, for that little tip.
We also have, someone would like to know, they're saying that their daughter works at Walmart store as a greeter. So she's in contact with customers and cannot maintain the social distance that everyone's suggesting they do. So do we have any suggestions specific for someone in a position like that? What should they do at work and what should they do when they come home? I don't know if June, you could add anything to that.
Yeah, I think, well, I think try to maintain that 6 foot distance if you can, which is recommended. And I think people hopefully will understand that, you know, I mean, I see more and more people adopting that. So, and don't, you know, no need to be apologetic, just say with a smile, like, let's just maintain, you know, social distance. Just, I'd say, you know, make sure, be very mindful of physical contact you're having with customers and wash your hands when you can, or if you're there and you can't move, you know, definitely that's a situation where you want that Purell. And I guess, you know, it's when she comes home, maybe, you know, do an extra careful wash, you know, wash your clothes in case anything, you know, talk to your employer too. Maybe they can put up, help, maybe put up like a low, you know, just a little barrier or something so people maintain that 6 foot distance. But yeah, that's a difficult situation to be in. Let's see. Oh, I have.
Yeah, we have a sorry, go ahead, June.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Belinda is offering to interact and help parents with children at home by setting up story time. That is a really cool and awesome suggestion,
Yay,
Belinda. That's awesome. And I just think that's wonderful. I'd love to hear more ideas from everyone. You know, we all have skills and talents and things we're passionate about. And one of the things that we're hoping happens through Sequester Camp is not just that we're pushing valuable information out to all of you, but that you would, exactly what Belinda is doing, is come to us with different ideas, and then we'll help facilitate those that we can, so that we can just all come together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the hallmark of this community.
Do we have any other questions? I don't think we haven't had any come into the Q&A panel. So we'll wait just a minute. If there aren't any other questions, I just want to remind everybody that we'll be doing this every week on Thursday at exactly the same time. And we'll be sending out the topics of the next week's webinar on a regular basis. So please check our website. We do have a special page dedicated to the Sequester Camp. So please be sure to check that page and check it often for the upcoming topics. We're just getting our ducks in a row right now as we speak. So definitely check back to our website often.
I would love to encourage people as well to let people know that weren't here today that the recordings are all going to be posted. So if this timeline doesn't work for people, they can go to that same Sequester Camp page and get access to all of the curriculum. All of the camp sessions will be there on the page, as well as pushed out through social media and so forth, so we can ensure everyone has access.
Yes. Sander, thank you for your lovely message. No question, but want to say how helpful this has been. Very calming. Thank you. We do have a question from Lauren. She's 26 years old, an engineer from Egypt. Has been an FSHD patient since she was 13. I have a couple questions. Number one, how far did the clinical trials go? And how can I keep updated about it? And number two, how is the Middle East been involved in that?
I'll answer that at a high level, and in June, if you need to or want to add anything, these are global trials, and that's good. But right now they're in the States and in Europe, and Canada and Europe, and so that's where these trials are. Again, this is a phase 2 trial, which is typically a little smaller than the final phase or a phase 3 trial, which is a larger trial. They've tried to condense the trial a bit to find a homogeneous unit amongst this heterogeneous disease state that impacts different people in different ways. So that was really Fulcrum's desire. I will add this, and I complimented them when we met with them. Some trials are not thought out very well, not in the FSHD space, but in general. And sometimes trials fail because they've not been thought out well, not because the drug doesn't work. And Fulcrum has thought out, they've been very thoughtful about putting this trial on. So the fact that they're getting this homogeneous group, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, they're not in the Middle East. Trials are not. We are trying to work with an infrastructure to have patient support throughout the Middle East. But right now, there's no trials that are happening there currently. Oh, and you can always find out about the progress of trials either by shooting us an email or looking on our website.
We have a page for clinical trials. It's just called Clinical Trials, and all the ongoing trials are listed there. And then there's a link to the government site that lists the official, latest information from the companies themselves. So you can see what the status of the trial is. I see a question from Belinda about how to get a Bipap. So you would need to be evaluated by a pulmonologist. And if you haven't done so before, it is something we recommend is done on an annual basis, that you get a pulmonary function test. And if they see any indication that your pulmonary function is below a certain level, you might be prescribed a Bipap. It is a medical device. It's one that you would need a prescription for, and that insurance should cover. So I would, if you have a concern about that, I would certainly consult your doctor about getting that pulmonary function. And that will be, it might be challenging right now because a lot of what they consider unnecessary medical interventions and so on, procedures, are being delayed. And pulmonologists are in high demand because COVID-19 has these serious respiratory complications. But tell them, that you may be in a high risk category, and just push, advocate for yourself to get that, examination. So that's what I would advise. I'm looking.
Lauren has a question about the Canadian trials. If she's in Canada or is planning to go to Canada in June, is there a possibility to be involved in the trials there?
I believe that the trial, the Fulcrum trial, currently is all full, the phase 2 trial. And that's good news for us, even though, more people want it in, because they're on their, like I said before, they're on their timelines. So we should hear the third quarter of this year. They're fully expecting to be finished with the trials and to have the data. And then that will allow them to make decisions on going forward with the phase 3 trial, some of these other things. Also, we're very cognizant of the timing of the Voice of the Patient Forum for that trial and the end date for that trial, because from that forum there will be a Voice of the Patient report, which will go along with the Fulcrum package when they submit that package, or any other pharmaceutical solutions package when they submit that package to the FDA. So we know that our voice has to be heard and documented well in that report before these results get there. But currently, it's my understanding that the global trial is full for Fulcrum right now.
Thanks, Mark. One more question from an anonymous person. They say, I have physical therapy sessions at a hospital scheduled for the next 2 weeks. Should I cancel them or go to them? I am on a self-imposed quarantine as of now.
So this would really depend on the circumstances at your hospital. So I would check with them. I mean, they may be already planning to cancel them or not, or they may feel that they can provide a safe environment for you to come. So I would definitely contact them as soon as you can and ask them that question.
All right, great. What a great session, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who attended. We're approaching the end. Actually, we're a little bit over. We're trying to keep these webinars short so that you can come in and get some information and get on with the rest of your day. Not that you have anything to do. But, and I'm even looking outside here in Denver. We've got a blizzard going on, so I can't even go outside today. But listen, we'll send out information about the website. Keep checking back there for more information. June's all the information that she just shared today, she'll post on there later today. And we'll also be sharing the upcoming topics for the coming weeks. And as always, you know where to find us. So if you have any questions, concerns, ideas about staying involved and staying social, let us know. We're happy to help. We're here to help. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone again next week.